Randall Pearson is an Afro-American man raised in a white family. He was adopted the day he was born when his father left him at the fire station. Growing up, his parents, Rebecca and Jack Pearson, treat Randall the same as their biological children. They always make sure that he gets the same food, wears the same clothes, and receives the same love. Randall did not notice that he is not completely in line with his siblings nor his parents until he was 8. As he became more aware of his surroundings, he noticed that as much as his parents want to treat him and his siblings equally, there were certain things that they cannot get right. An example of this can be seen in an episode where Jack and Rebecca are on the fence in whether to give Randall sunscreen, like his two siblings, when they went to a swimming pool in the summer.
Are you sure you really need sunscreen?
They were also unsure on how to take care of Randall's hair because they had never been taking care of natural curly
You need to give
hair.
the child a proper haircut. The razor bumps on his neck. You need a barber who knows how to cut black hair.
When he noticed these differences, a realization dawned on Randall, a discovery that even though he had been living his whole life as one of the Pearsons, he knew that he is in fact different. As a result, he subconsciously developed a trait to compensate for his difference. His foreign origin that had it not been for the compassion of Jack and Rebecca would put him in an entirely different place. He became a perfectionist. He strived to do everything perfectly, studied to get the best grades, get to the best school, and worked the best job, all because he's worried that if he fails, he would come home to nothing. Randall's experience raises an important question. If race is often described as a social construct, why does it continue to shape his identity so deeply, even within a loving family that strives to look beyond it? In this video, we are going to examine Randall Pearson's experiences through Stuart Hall's concept of cultural identity, alongside Omi and Winon's racial formation theory. Hopefully, we can better understand how racial identity is not something that we simply inherit from our biological ancestors. Instead, it is continuously produced through social relationships, cultural experiences, and the meaning society gives to race itself. First, let's talk about cultural identity. Stuart Hall, in his seminal essay Cultural Identity and Diaspora, offers two ways to define identity. The first one sees identity as something fixed and shared by common ancestry. This way, identity is something that we are born with and we carry our whole life. However, Hall argues that this understanding of identity is not complete. Thus, he proposed another way of understanding cultural identity, that it is a fluid process that is always produced and reproduced through our interaction with our surroundings. Now, if we apply the second understanding of identity, it is insufficient to define Randall's identity simply as a black man, because in fact, his identity is continuously negotiated through his interaction with his white family, the way he was raised, and a tons of other social and cultural influences. Combined with the essentialist view of identity, we can finally see the complexities of Randall's identity, that even though he belongs in a certain racial identity, he continuously produced and reproduced his identity with various things and people that he engaged with. At this point, we can see that race is just one of the many things that compose Randall's whole identity. If so, then why does race matter at all? Wouldn't it be great to live in a society that overlooks skin colors? As much as we want to believe that skin color does not matter, we actually live in a society where it does. Through racial formation theory, Michael Omi and Hort Winon argue that we, the society, are in fact the ones who constantly give meaning to race. It is often the first thing we notice about a person, regardless of whether we choose to give it any meaning at all. In Randall's case, his family may overlook his racial profile, but society in general certainly does not. His awareness on his skin color is inseparable from the social meaning society has produced. His friends, acquaintances, teachers, or bosses will always see him as a black man first. Thus, little Randall was conflicted as to where to place himself. It is impossible for him to identify himself as a white person, but he could hardly relate to the lived experiences of a black person. In short, through the construction of race, we can see Randall's search for identity as something that is produced by society rather than a natural predicament. Randall's story is an example of how race is neither a fixed biological trait nor a meaningless characteristic. Our identity as a person is fluid and constantly changing, and racial identity is always influenced by the meanings given by society. Through these frameworks, we can better understand how Randall's search for belonging is a reflection on how the construction of race shapes our reality.